What's up, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Black Ops 2 with Maximilian. If you guys might have checked out a few episodes ago and a few Black Ops 2 videos prior, I was talking about some of the more powerful kill streaks in Black Ops 2, and a more notable, really devious one, and one that can be extremely powerful, which is called the Swarm Loop. That one starts with an orbital VSAT, you go into dogs, and you go into swarm. Essentially, the swarm and the dogs feed you enough points, and the VSAT allows you to stay active with the UAV up long enough that you can actually collect enough kills to get you back to another orbital VSAT, and the same loop of getting a swarm and dogs. The biggest challenge with a kill streak loadout of this kind, or a score streak loadout of this kind, is the fact that it's primarily difficult to get. For the most part, it costs 1,200 points, and even with hardline considered, it's still going to take you about essentially 10 kills to get to something like an orbital VSAT. That's pretty tough in something like Kill Confirmed, or even Team Deathmatch for that matter. It's a lot easier in something like Domination, but it's still really tough. A lot of things have to go right. A lot of things have to go very well, and you have to have a very coordinated team to keep you alive for that long, to understand which areas are safe to go to and which areas are not safe to go to, in order to keep your ass alive to get an orbital VSAT. Now, I was running this for quite a bit, and the other challenge with it is that when a guy like me that likes to prestige, you don't unlock dogs, and the swarm very early on. Essentially, it comes at the very end of your prestige, and you have to stick at level 55 for a while and essentially lose points. So I don't run it too often. However, the chances I did have to run it, I was getting it rather frequently. But not all too frequently, like maybe one out of every 3 or 4 games, I would say was the absolute average. Not one loop, you'd get multiple loops in each game because that's kind of how the swarm loop works. You'd acquire it, once every 3 or 4 games, and in those other games you might get an orbital VSAT, you might get some dogs, but you might miss the swarm or something along those lines. One of the things in Call of Duty that you guys will understand after a long time is you might get a badass gameplay every once in a while. You might kill 100 freaking guys and die 3 times. And that's your best game ever, and you might never do as good as that ever again, or anywhere close. One of the things I try to associate with helping people out by getting better at this game is consistency, is staying consistent. If you don't have a good game, then make sure you at least go 1-to-1. Like, your kill death ratio is at least 1-to-1, even if you lose the game. If you lose the game, even and have at least a certain amount of standards that you should set yourself to, that, well, we might not have won, but at least I was able to help in this sort of scenario. You know what I mean? Stay consistent. Even though it's a bad game, try not to make it a horrible game, or like you go 3-27 or something ridiculous like that. You know what I mean? And one of the things I found so far is that I think I found one of the best score streak loadouts you guys can run in the game. More notably because in the few games that I started running this loadout, I was doing so ridiculously good it was crazy. Not just for the fact that the connection was good. The connection kind of jumps all over the place in Black Ops 2. It's one of those things where it really supports, the score streak loadout supports itself, and this gameplay is kind of a good example. Through the process of playing about 20 matches, when I discovered this and I started figuring out, wow, this actually works really well, I was getting it rather consistently. It doesn't always perform as good as you might like it to, this loop. However, it does do very well no matter what the situation, and it will be very beneficial to your team. That's one of the biggest things, is that a swarm in dogs is pretty good, but essentially if you're putting up orbital VSATs all the time, you're going to be really helping out your team. So here's what you do. By looking at the gameplay already, you guys probably can already see what it is, but essentially you start with a lightning strike, go into the stealth chopper, and then an orbital VSAT. Now, the thing about this is that neither of these 2 kill streaks that can actually kill people are extremely powerful. They're not like as vicious as dogs or as insane as the swarm. The stealth chopper's a really good kill streak. It's the best chopper ever in a Call of Duty, and it tracks people fast if they do not have something like Blind Eye on. Something like the lightning strike can get you upwards of 3, maybe 2 kills sometimes, and your best situation might give you 4 to 5, if not 6, which is pretty rare, even in something like Ground War. The thing is that getting to something like a lightning strike isn't ridiculously hard. Like, you might have to get 6 kills, maybe 7 kills or so, but you're gonna get it. Most likely once at least every game, unless you're having a really bad game. Now, converting it to the orbital VSAT is a more difficult challenge. However, it is a lot easier than starting off with something like an orbital VSAT, which can be really hard and take twice as many kills in some situations to acquire. But if you cap a flag, kill a guy on a flag, move around, like kill attackers, stuff along that nature, and you're moving around, especially if you have hardline on, getting something like a lightning strike is pretty easy. And the lightning strike converted into the next score streak, which is a stealth chopper, is not that bad either. Through this process, you're going to kill like a few guys through that, and then your lightning strike will kind of give you an idea of where your enemy team is at, and you can actually use that to your advantage to get an extra kill or whatever necessary to get to that stealth chopper. And through the stealth chopper coming out, I found that the stealth chopper does a pretty good job. Even if it gets shot down, which it does most of the time, it does a fairly good job about getting you those few points you need to get to the orbital VSAT. And the point of having the orbital VSAT at the end of this score streak loadout is that the orbital VSAT feeds the kills, which doesn't need that many, necessary to get back to the lightning strike, and then get another stealth chopper, and then get another orbital VSAT. By the time you're actually done with the first orbital VSAT, usually you have enough delay from that first VSAT running, and you're capping points, and you know where everyone's at, and you're shooting them all down, you kind of get another orbital VSAT. You might actually see it happen a few times in this gameplay, but nonetheless, this loop is crazy powerful. I've noticed it actually distracts your enemy team so much that they're constantly looking in the air, getting blown up by, you know, lightning strikes and all this crazy crap you're putting into the sky repeatedly, that by the time they've already taken down your stealth chopper, if you get this method up fast enough, your VSAT can feed you enough kills to get another stealth chopper up immediately. Now you're thinking like, well, that's a bad thing. Your chopper's getting killed. You can't kill guys with the chopper. It's what the thing is that it's distracting the enemy team. A lot of times you run across guys that are all stuck up in a spawn, and you run into that spawn with a VSAT, and you can kill like 4, maybe 5 dudes looking at the sky trying to run away from the next lightning strike, or however good your team might be doing because you're providing them with score streaks as well because of the orbital VSAT. It's crazy, and I was running all these games solo. Like, I find Black Ops 2 one of the more difficult Call of Duties to play in a single player or a single like multiplayer environment when you're not playing with a huge party of people. But this evening when I started running this, I was running nothing but solo and doing very well. I think if I run in a party of folks that I can trust and I know that they might actually do like fairly well, like they're not ridiculously Call of Duty experts, but they know how to play the game and say, yo, there's a dude coming. I could run higher end kill streaks, and you can do something like the swarm loop, but for you guys that are looking for a score streak loadout that'll actually benefit your team and you might be able to run in a solo environment, just by the looks of this gameplay, check this stuff out. And I wasn't running the most amazing of connections during these games. I was just kind of trying to play it safe, play around the objective, cap things when they needed to be capped. And my god, man, I was just dropping airstrikes and putting up choppers and orbital VSATs. It's like I always felt like I knew where my enemy team was. And this is in Ground War, and Ground War has significantly worse connections than almost any other game mode. Like, I don't like Ground War as much in Black Ops 2 because they haven't really patched the matchmaking yet. However, dude, this is, it's really good. It's really powerful. And for you guys that don't want to run the crazy high-end stuff that you might get one of every 4 or one of every maybe 10 games, try this out and let me know how it goes for you if you can actually run this orbital VSAT loop. But thank you all very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Black Ops 2 with Maximilian. If you enjoyed the gameplay or the tips and advice, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And any of you guys coming here from Respawn, thanks a lot for watching, and I host a ton of other videos, including a multitude of video games and a whole bunch of fighting game content. But stay tuned, dudes. I'll be back with more Black Ops 2 very soon. My name is Maximilian, signing out.
Brought the pain, time to get paid.